Okay, here we have Enniscrone on Global Protest Day, January 25th, 2020. We have Stop 5G Enniscrone and we have Stop 5G Sligo and the people from Collins. So Enniscrone group have a mast going up. The permission was achieved in a very sneaky way, put in the national newspapers during the elections. A lot of smokescreen there, not in the local papers. And this happens all the time, you know. I've seen it in Athleague, done during the holiday period when most people would have been gone that 3 weeks. A little notice hidden in the long grass. It's commonplace. So you really need to go onto the websites, the county council websites, and watch them closely. It will tell you what permissions are, what's being applied for. Although with 5G there's a lot of infrastructure, masts and small cells that don't even require planning permission because of a law that was sneaked in, and that's another thing we have to address, this sneaking in of legislation all the time. The exact same way as they sneak in the planning permission, they sneak in legislation. As somebody pointed out recently, 2014, legislation went in about water on Christmas Day. You know, these emergencies and crises tend to get announced or passed at times when there's nobody in the door, you know, so that needs to be more open. We need to slow down how legislation gets pushed through. It needs to be examined properly, it needs to be open. Public consultation needs to be public consultation. This legal games is just something the government has tolerated in this country and other countries, but it has to stop. It's unconstitutional, it's damn sneaky, and a lot of things should be up for review. So, we'll miss the buzz when the bees are gone. While 40% reduction in bee population almost every year at the moment, they're in danger of going extinct. There's crazy things happening with people driving around in lorries in America with beehives so they can pollinate farm to farm. So it has been identified by top researchers, Professor Dennis Henshaw, Bristol University Department of Chemistry, Professor Peter Hoare, Oxford University Department of Chemistry, precise mechanisms as to why EMF pollution harms insects and harms birds. Dr. Peter Hoare in particular looking at magnetoreception cryptocombs. So with bees, it's been proved as well in Germany, Professor Kuhn, that the colony collapse disorder and EMF from phones is directly related, and the phone masts. It's been known years ago, decades ago in Greece with the honey, the beekeepers, that the bees vanish wherever the masts were. So the response has not been good, never is where industry is concerned. You can see it in pesticides. Pesticides are another reason bees are declining, but our countries all over Europe keep voting, keep the pesticides. It's ridiculous. As far as EMF goes, it uses the same biochemical pathway as chemicals. They're environmental toxins, use the peroxynitrite pathway. Martin Paul describes it. He's a professor of biochemistry, and he describes it in very clear, easy to follow detail. I can show you a little later on in the next video. So the EMF or telecom company response, well, they say we're not waiting for studies. Let the innovators loose. The future will decide itself. So Internet of Things, wireless future, the innovators strapped batteries to bumblebees and says, oh, it only weighs as much as a grain of rice. Well, that seems like a very cruel thing to do to another living being. Apart from the fact bees are sensitive to EMF, the scientists have discovered that, but the technological innovators wouldn't know, would they? Working in their little IT offices, they don't know about cryptochromes, magnetoreception, all sorts of sensitivity in bird and insect populations. So they strap the batteries onto the bumblebees who are sensitive to EMF in danger of going extinct very soon, and a lot depends on whether they go extinct or not, and all because they thought it would be fun to have a wireless network of live drones, because the batteries in their own drones weren't lasting as long as the bees. So let the innovators loose. Let the technology drive the policy rather than the policy drive the technology, is what Tom Wheeler has said of 5G. That needs to change. Who voted Telecom in as our leaders? It's like all of history has been wiped out and we've been taken over. Same with the satellites, of course. 53,000 satellites going up to basically cloud out the stars. And there I am, having a bit of fun. That's not a wireless microphone. Or if it is, it's not on, that's for sure. Don't underestimate the dedication of these people. People from all different backgrounds coming together for one cause. This is a cold day, their feet are wet in the grass, and they stayed out. And windy Enniscrone. And here we go again. Some of the group, there's actually a lot more. Well done, people of Enniscrone Collins. Great job.
Here we are at Sligo IT, very low readings. Everybody deserves low readings in their home. That said, according to the Bioinitiative report, between 3 and 6 microwatts per metre squared is safe. We are actually at 13, 14. Look at the top left, the peak reading, because it's pulsed microwave radiation. Okay, that's one of the lowest readings you'll see anywhere, unfortunately, even though it's outside what they would call safe. As Neil Cherry said, one of the top EMF scientists in the world, before he died early of motor neuron from EMF radiation, there is no safe level of wireless radiation. Ironically, Sligo IT have one of the lowest levels. The people at the market would be into health, organic vegetables, organic scones and organic meat, you name it. These people are interested in health, and they should have the choice to maintain their health instead of mandatory radiation. Sligo IT, one of the lowest radiation levels around, even though it's way higher than the building biologists. Bioinitiative would have it. Radiation levels here at Sligo are higher. Radiation levels here at Sligo IT are very low. So why should you live in a house at 20,000 microwatts per metre squared when you can get 13 at a place that's rolling it out? And on that note about what people deserve in their own homes, I'm going to show you Strokestown briefly. Now, I'll show it to you in more detail later. Strokestown is a town in County Roscommon, and it's one of the worst readings I have ever seen. I've done a lot of readings. See the tower, see the antennas, and imagine 5G mast, it's called. The residents didn't know about this either, just like Enniscrone, just like Athleague, just like Galway Road, all over the place, the same. There is an excellent documentary, it's an award-winning documentary called Full Signal. I suggest all of you go look at it. You'll regret it's only an hour long. It shows in 2008, 9, 10, communities all over the world rising up because towers like this were put on their houses in their neighbourhoods. So in Ireland it's getting to us pretty late, but it's here. And those houses, a very short distance away from that tower, are saturated. I mean, it's 20,000 the whole way around that estate. And I had a couple of women check their bedrooms with the meter, and they were getting 8,000. 8,000, that would be a low reading in that neighbourhood. And they have to sleep with that. So, according to all the reports, no matter who you listen to, they say it should be under 10 at the maximum for sleeping. And if you're anyway ill, or anyway vulnerable, or anyway sensitive to EMF, electromagnetic fields, or RF, radio frequency radiation, anyway sensitive at all, it has to be practically zero. So in 2006, I'm going to show you now a joint committee
at the Doyle, the Oireachtas, the government, the Irish government, had a presentation by a number of people belonging to a mast victims group in Ireland, who gave horrific stories of how impaired their lives were for 10-15 years. And the government then asked a question. Has any survey been done in Ireland to see the extent of this among the population? That question was asked at Roscommon County Council this past few months, after they passed the motion to oppose 5G. The answer from the person who works with Comreg was the population in Ireland isn't big enough for them to monitor it, which was a straw man argument. It didn't answer the question, it deflected it onto a completely different topic. So it's horrific the way the government does not care about the people. We need that government out. We need independence in. It is not possible to do a worse job than has been done in our country. I have learned over the past year with politicians that none of them have a clue about any subject really at all. They will receive a script handed to them by a so-called expert. That expert usually is in the industry that is selling the thing that you're complaining about. So when it comes to electromagnetic fields and these antennae, it's the telecom industry are their experts. You're not going to get a straight answer. And even if the politician in Sinn Féin or Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael or whatever, I'm unlucky to get in Fine Gael, but even if the politician personally disagrees with an antenna on the side of your house, you'll find it gets shut down very quickly. In fact, most TDs won't even answer these questions. There are a handful, but most TDs won't answer or even reply, and they will drop it very quickly. So if you want something done, you got to get other people in fast. This is your chance. There's a lot more to come, guys. I have some excellent stuff, so keep tuned. Okay, very quickly here, we have in 2006, February, we have a joint committee on health and children, and this was in the Irish Parliament, where we had a team from the Irish Electromagnetic Energy Victims Network on the adverse health effects of mobile phone masts. Okay, these are all victims. These are led by Mr. Con Colbert. Okay, and each one of these people describes how the masts, mobile phone masts, were affecting their health and had been doing so for 10-15 years at that point. So extrapolate back, we're talking mid-90s here. And let's see how it was handled. Well, obviously, we're in the same position today that people are still complaining about phone masts. I mean, I've heard of 2 cancer clusters locally this week. I'm hearing them all over the world all the time. I'm hearing people suffering with all sorts of sensitivity, smart meters, masts, phones, lights, you name it, LEDs. And they're increasing it. They're making a smart grid, a smart village, a smart city, a smart car, a smart home. Where were the electro-sensitive people supposed to go? Nowhere. I mean, they already were in trouble in 2006 and 1996. So here we go. Deputy McManus welcomes the witnesses. He has certainly described a very distressing experiences. Here's the question. Has research been carried out in Ireland to discover the extent of the problem of the suffering of certain people? The answer to that's no. And that question was asked, as I said, at Roscommon County Council within the last few months to the man who works for Comreg, John Macaulay of Compliance Engineering Ireland, and he deflected into a straw man argument that the population in Ireland is too small to be monitored. That's not the question at all, but that is the industry answer to get out of it. Nobody took him on. I'd have taken him on. Guess what? I wasn't allowed in. I was proposed and seconded by 3 councillors to speak at that meeting, but I was not allowed in, and neither were 4 world-class experts. The experts' debate in Roscommon County Council was a monologue by a man who openly said he worked for Comreg, worked for ICNIRP, and had several friends who are members of ICNIRP. And the CEO, his buzzword this year is democracy. I'm going to hold him to that. Notice nobody else has. But I'm going to hold him to that. Now, here we have another senator. Senator Brown rang Beaumont Hospital to find out if there was any link between brain tumours and mobile phones. That's a bad move. You don't ask people who don't know the research. Now, surgeons, unless they're into it, they're not going to know. We do have Professor Leonard Hardell, Rebro University Hospital. Pity he didn't ring him, because he would have told him very quickly. And he's the researcher getting the results. So he was told there was no proven link so far. Well, to this date, that's the argument, because it's coming from industry. It's like with smoking. You know, they said that until they were proved legally in court, and they had to be basically strung up by the toenails to admit it, because they just buried the research. In 1994, Professor Henry Lai, University of Washington, he was shut down when he found a proven link. He was doing the research for the US Navy. Motorola shut him down, and John Macaulay, Compliance Engineering Ireland, started his company with Motorola. So you've got to be careful who you're asking questions from. So I thought, you know, this basically takes the biscuit. Deputy Devons. Some years ago, as a member of Sligo County Council, I was faced with a plethora of planning applications for telephone masts. At that time, the group of councillors involved carried out a thorough search of the world literature, but the results were equivocal in that we could not find definitive evidence for or against. The key word here was we, the councillors, could not find damn all, because we are councillors. We're not researchers. We're not trained in this. I think councillors today, you know, 14 years later, are finding themselves in this position that somehow they think they should be doing the research and that their conclusions are valid. They're not. Fair dues if they want to do research, but they always need to call in the experts, because that was ridiculous. That's the industry line. Whereas 70% of the studies actually show definitive evidence. But if they're industry studies, they won't show any evidence. And Con Colbert led that delegation. And look who Con Colbert is. His relative died, well, executed during the Easter Rising. So we're in a position now today of the CEO of Roscommon County Council will attend commemorations of the Rising, the Irish Rebellion. He will attend these commemorations, which are actually called Democracy in Balhadereen this year, while blocking democracy, while letting the country of Ireland be taken over by the telecom industry. Now watch the video I posted on Tom Wheeler, the chairman of the telecom industry, announcing his takeover. And I have another video to post soon. But I think this year, May 8th, 2019, let's make May 8th, 2020 a celebration that makes this man's sacrifice of his life worthwhile. Let's not see Ireland go down the toilet. Well, let's pull it out of the toilet. We've been in the stink long enough. Okay?